What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q from Retro Q Gamer, back in effect as always, and welcome to episode 15 of our lovely little Quack experimental podcast. We don't have too much this week. I kind of spent my load, blew my wad, whatever it was, on the double stuffed rib for her pleasure episode last week. But anyway, we still got a little bit left to do here anyway. So we'll move straight in to our first topic. And that one is a nice wholesome thing. Because remember, gaming in general is terrible lately, at least the last maybe decade or so. And it should be lauded and almost very depressing and whatnot. But anyway, within all of that, there is the one little tiny ray, tiny glimmer of hope. And this time, our next one comes from Studio MDHR. I think it's MDHR. I think that's the proper way to pronounce it. But they developed Cuphead, that great game that looks fantastic and plays really well and is nowhere near as hard as everyone claims. They're just bad at it. Just because, well, all modern games are so easy nowadays that everyone's skill has actually been dulled and their ability has just gotten rusty and unused. You go back and try to play that Super Mario Brothers you used to be able to complete upside down blindfolded with your eyes closed. Although, blindfolded, eyes closed, you know what I mean. You could do beast mode back in the day without even trying. You go back and not play that in 20 years because it's a game that requires skill, you will absolutely be a miserable failure at it. Anyway, back to the point at hand. Because Cuphead is no longer an actual hard game, this has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. But in 2020, at some point next year, Netflix will be producing a Cuphead show. Ironically, it's going to be called The Cuphead Show. That's kind of gimmicky in a way, in the best of ways, because as you know, Cuphead goes for that real old school 1930s style aesthetic. It looks great. The game looks exactly like that. It plays and sounds exactly like that. And hopefully the show is going to just completely mimic that 100%. And of course, when you think of the name of an old school style show from back then, well, the Cuphead show, the Bugs Bunny show, the Elmer Fudd show, it makes perfect sense. It's in that exact one. It's old school to the max in the best of ways. I can't wait to see it. I'm not a Netflix guy, but when it does become available on Netflix, let's just say I'll be able to watch it in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully it's as good as the game. And of course, we do know that the DLC has been delayed, which is a bit of a shame. But hey, quality is what matters. I can deal with a game delay in that regard, as long as it means proper quality. But moving along from nice, wholesome, heartwarming news to, well, some of the reasons why gaming is terrible and life is pain. But on top of all of that, we have Pokemon Sword and Shield, the latest in the line of, let's call them, would misstep? No, I don't feel like missteps would be a proper characterization of it. I would say, what's one step slightly ahead of missteps? Giant fuck-ups, there we go. In one of the next progressive giant fuck-ups as they go, we have Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, obviously, Nintendo were trying to drum up and draw in as many sales as possible for these big, hyped games. They're going to have to, considering it's their only real big game since Mario back 2 years ago. But anyway, back to the point. We have Pokemon Sword and Shield. Well, I was going to call them Sun and Moon. But you, as anyone out there, like myself, like you guys, anyone knows that when it comes to the mainline entry Pokemon games, there's always two different games in balance. And there's some slight differences between them. They're usually only very minute differences, maybe a handful of additional Pokemon in one that can't be got in the other, and vice versa, as well as maybe one or two other small little things. You might have Team Aqua versus Team Magma based on your thing, but the overall premise and the overall principle is the same. The same deal with the legendaries. You look at the front of the box, I believe every one of the mainline entries except for Black and White had the... Wait, were Black and White? You know what? I have my DS beside me. It's not on the cartridge. But I can't remember if they had the same one. It was just in a different color or not, or if it was two different ones. That's beside the point anyway. So there are always usually a couple of small minor differences. However, they're going a little bit bigger and a little bit harder in Sword and Shield. I almost said Sun and Shield. Sword and Shield, to try coerce people into buying them. Not only are they for the first time ever releasing the dual Steelbook edition, because usually when they sell the two of these games, they sell them separately. For the first time ever, they're now selling a bundle which has both of them in there. Me being me, you know me, the me that I be, Q is he. I am thee, I am thou, thou art I. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. They're selling the bundle with 2 games and it comes with the steelbook for the first time ever in Pokemon history. So they're really trying to push that ability. Now, on top of that, they're giving you extra reasons, which, believe it or not, are negative, in my opinion, for why they're doing this. Because it feels like you're missing out unless you buy both versions of the game. Because now they're going to have, on top of all the other stuff, version exclusive gym leaders. So you're essentially getting the story a little bit different in that regard. Because when you get to a town and a gym, usually there's a little run-up in inbuilt story into that town-specific gym leader. It's not just go there, fight gym leader, game over, or continue story, continue main story. There's usually a little bit of, we call it intrigue, a little bit of mystique dragged in and dug in and whatever it is ingrained into it. So we were still a couple of months out from launch, but will there be anything else? What are they going to split next? Maybe not in Pokemon Sword and Shield, but maybe in the next one. Maybe in Generation 9. What are they going... They're already removing features left, right, and center. What are they going to split next? Well, eventually, maybe, there'll be 2 completely different games in 2 completely different regions, with 150 different Pokemon in each game that you can transfer over back and forth from the other one. See? All trying to drum up sales from both variations, while delivering what is essentially a lazy update to the new games. I mean, I'm not going to go into super detail about it, but a lot of people, myself included, can be kind of are kind of disheartened with these new games and what we have in there. Don't get me wrong, for the most part, I think it looks great. I can't wait to play Sword and Shield later this year, or at least I'm going to play one of them. I'm not going to play both of them, but I can't wait. I hope they're great, despite all these removals and all these feature pairings and whatnot. But we'll see how it goes. I'm worried for the future of the series if this kind of thing keeps up. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that it remains great. Make Pokemon great again. Now moving on to some PC gaming and PC hardware news for the moment. We've got some new GPUs. Now I'm going to be reading pretty much verbatim from my notes here, or at least the bullet points, because I'm looking down here a lot of the time. Because actually, you know what? Let me move these so I can almost read the screen as I go. No, that's blinding. So, Nvidia RTX Super cards have been announced. Now, these have been tipped and rumored and all for a while and leaked and whatnot, but now they're finally officially announced. We have some details on them, and, well, we'll see how it goes. Before we go any further, of course, I always do want to say that no matter what you see from benchmarks and, Nvidia provided benchmarks and whatever, always wait, and at least if possible, always wait and get third-party, individual, independent benchmarks from anyone, be it Nvidia, AMD, Intel, whatever it is, GPUs, CPUs, anything you want to check. Always try to get, no matter what's the word I'm looking for, independent benchmarks. But anyway, we have a couple of new GPUs announced. We have an RTX 2060 Super, an RTX 2070 Super, and an RTX 2080 Super. Now, these have really stupid names if you ask me, because, I mean, they might as well have called it the 2080 Super Tournament Fighter Edition Hyper Fighting 2 Turbo, or Hyper Rendering 2 Turbo, but whatever. So, anyway, the 2060 Super and 2070 Super, by the time you're seeing this video, are already out in the last few days. So, they are available on the market. Some places and some people have been putting out reviews and benchmarks, so I'm sure you can check out wherever they are and wherever you prefer to get your own version of them from, be it, I don't know, Candyland or VG Tech or whatever website it is you decide to get them from, to inform your purchasing decision. So you can find that out. And the 2080 Super is out later this month. Now, relative or early performance metrics and what we're given and all, we're looking at a 2060 Super is better than a regular GTX 1080, the GPU I'm using, a regular GTX 1080, although mine's the Founders Edition, but the point still stands. And of course, the big important thing for many people, poor people, see if anyone gets that reference, is that the 2060 Super is better than the 1080 at a better price. So it's not just a better performing card, but you're getting it at a better price. The 2070 Super has the Titan XP performance, which is the Titan X Pascal edition. It has that performance, that level of performance in pretty much everything you're doing, and it's a lot cheaper, which is a big draw. Now, the Titan XP is a great card. However, because the Titan cards aren't really designed for gaming, they're exceptionally expensive, at least compared to regular conventional GPUs. So that's pretty good. The 2080 Super is better than the 2080, as you would expect, but it's not as good as the 2080 Ti, which makes sense considering the price point they're aiming at. It's going to be cheaper than the 2080 Ti, but it's obviously going to be a little bit more expensive than the regular 2080. So you can see where it kind of fits in that. And overall, it's great that there's more cards and more variety, even if I do think the names are really stupid. But it can depend on the performance you're getting. I mean, these are just hypothetical numbers here, but just to give you an idea, if the performance difference between a 2060 and a 2060 Super is 5%, and then a 2060 Super and a 2070 is 5%, and a 2070 and a 2070 Super is 5%, and a 2070 Super and a 2080 is 5%, and a 2080 and a 2080 Super is 5%. And you see my point. If there were the natural performance gains, I would completely disregard all of these cards and say they're just a waste. Look at the GTX 1070 Ti. I found that card 100% irrelevant. I didn't own it, but when I saw the benchmarks and I looked at the 1070 and I looked at the 1080 and I looked at the price and performance you get from it, I'm just like, why is this card existing? I just don't get it whatsoever. Do they just want to completely saturate the market to get as many cards out there as possible? This makes no sense to me. So because we don't have all the proper reviews and benchmarks of all these GPUs, this could be the case, but we have to wait and see anyway, because we don't have that information yet. I can't make that claim just yet, but I do maintain it could be a very real possibility. Now, so like I said, it's great that all of these lower price stuff are out there, because obviously not everyone wants to buy a 2080 Ti. I don't know why. I mean, it's PC gaming. That's why you go here. Jokes? Memes? No, don't worry. I know what the real PC Master Race stands for. It's the ability, no matter what your hardware is, what you choose to play at and what. Don't worry, I get it. I've championed it in the past. I just meme it up sometimes. But anyway, these lower priced, higher performing cards from Nvidia and the Super Series, that AMD have been forced to cut their not even released at the time RX 5700 series cards, the RX 5700 and the RX 5700 XT. The main reasons for this was all done pre-launch, is because when you saw the price versus performance, well, as I suspected, the AMD cards were looking kind of shoddy, and they're still looking kind of shoddy, but even for the reduced price, they're looking a little less shoddy, but they're still looking kind of shoddy. So we'll have to see how it goes over the next couple of months, maybe even just the next couple of weeks, because we do really need the 2080 Super to come out to get those proper real-world, individual, independent benchmarks before we can say anything for sure. The same with the AMD RX 5700 and 5700 XT. We need the proper information about those that we can compare them all. You see what I mean? Before we make any proper concrete evidence and whatnot. People can say I'm biased and whatever. Yes, I technically am a little bit biased towards Nvidia, because for the best part of probably the last decade, give or take, they have made the highest performing and highest quality GPUs, even if they were a little bit more expensive because there is no proper competition to challenge them at the top end of the market. But that's AMD's fault, not anyone else's, because AMD are putting out those shitty products for the last dozen years or so. Hopefully that's changed. It has, obviously, with Ryzen. Maybe, just maybe, but probably not, maybe Navi will actually do something about it. I won't be upgrading to any of these cards, the 2080 Super, the 2060 Super, the 2070 Super, or anything like that, and definitely not any of the AMD cards. But it's just good to see them all in the market anyway. But I will say this, I'm still, even with all these, I want to wait and see. Because depending on what we have with rumors and leaks and what's available at the time, who knows, they might 6 months from now announce a 2080 Ti Super, which would be better than a 2080 Ti. And guess what I could do? In around the time there's, I don't know, maybe there's an RTX 2080 Super available right before Cyberpunk 2077 comes available. See what I mean? I wouldn't mind playing that game with ray tracing at 1440p with mad frame rate. Oh, a 2080 Super would do perfect for that, wouldn't it? Of course. Who knows? Maybe we'd have an RTX 3080 Ti by then. Only time will tell. Oh, and one little extra follow-up from our previous point here, but there's rumors and reports going around, or leaked internal reports and all. Who knows, maybe they might be official hush kind of reports that they just kind of push out on the quiet, on the DL. But it seems like AMD have discontinued the Radeon 7 GPU, which makes perfect sense. That GPU was only made in extremely limited quantities. I think they only made like 4,000 or 5,000 of them, and its performance, and its price, and its just specification in general, were really substandard. People were saying, oh, it's the GTX 2080 Ti killer, and then it flopped under the regular 2080 in every single benchmark, except that one that favors every AMD card because it was partially funded by AMD compared to anyone else. So it's just kind of discontinued. It seems to be quietly discontinued. We don't know if the report, at least all the versions of the report and all I saw yet, they weren't 100% confirmation, they weren't 100% official. But to be honest, I thought the card was already dead, because made in 1 or 2 runs of extremely limited quantities, it just been a shit card in general. And, well, with everything going forward going to be Navi, which the Radeon 7 isn't, I mean, it just writes itself. Or in AMD's GPU case, it just burns itself in a furnace. But back to some gaming news here, and we have a Final Fantasy VII Remake leak. Now, no, it's not what you're thinking, so don't go crazy, don't go this, that, and the other. There's no censorship, there's no this, that, and the other, there's no removal, there's no, it's just, people be crazy. This one was for Xbox One. That's right, Final Fantasy VII Remake was leaked for Xbox One. Now, this was done by the official Xbox Germany, I believe it was Facebook account, but here's the thing, they quickly retracted it. It was deleted, it was retracted. They said, oh, due to an error, blah, blah, blah. It was, the post they put out said it was going to be released on the same day. I believe they said, March 3rd, 2020, or whatever it is. Now, okay, we realize that it is not coming out on Xbox on March 3rd, 2020. It's only coming out on PlayStation 4 on March 3rd, 2020. However, we all know that the game is coming to other platforms, most likely Xbox One and PC, and of course future consoles and all as well, probably. If you look at everything they've put out, all the trailers, even the original announcement trailer, the very end of the trailer, and everything else they've shown in the meantime, has said play it first on PlayStation 4. What does that say? Timed exclusivity. Play it first on PlayStation 4. So, yes, in my opinion, in my mind, this game is 100% coming to PlayStation 4, and it will also come to PC and Xbox One in my mind. With this wording and everything they've done and how coy they are about it. Of course, they have come out and said, oh, we have no plans to launch on any other platform at this time. Or I think they said at this time, or as they said, we have no other plans to release the game on March 3rd, 2020, other than PlayStation 4. So their wording is very, very obvious, if you ask me anyway. But hey, there's that timed exclusivity that Sony fanboys claim to hate Microsoft for, but then you have Sony doing it, and it's okay because it's a Sony game. Or funny enough, I love how when Sony fanboys say that Final Fantasy is a Sony franchise, despite it originating on Nintendo, and Final Fantasy 4 and 6 being 2 of the biggest praised games in the entire series. I realize Final Fantasy 7 is as well. I'm not going to downplay that at all, especially as a European when it was my first foray into the series. But I just think irony, hypocrisy, thy name are fanboys. But hey, we can all take solace no matter where we play our games, be it the Xbox One, the PC, or the PS4. Obviously, the PC version of the Final Fantasy VII Remake will be the best version of it. But hey, like I said, no matter what version of this game you choose to play, we can all take solace in one little fact. That the game is not coming to Switch. Ever. Oh, yeah. So next up is a little bit of a, well, we'll go with depressing little topic. I'm only going to talk about this for 1 minute because, as I said in a previous video, it's just going to be nothing more. It deserves to be nothing more than basically a footnote, a passing thought in anything in my video, and that is Shenmue 3. Of course, as I mentioned before, that Shenmue 3 officially will be never covered or never featured on this channel ever again. I said it earlier in this week when I made a dedicated video about it. The only caveat I put on it at the time was that I would mention it one more time in the small little version that you're seeing now in this podcast episode. But for all intents and purposes, Shenmue 3 will never be featured on this channel ever again. Comments, streams, whatever it is, they will not happen. Not happen at all. People will ask me on stream. I might just ignore it. I might just let them know that I'm not talking about it. Whatever it is, we'll see how it goes. I will still gladly talk about Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 because they are some of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. I will not be buying Shenmue 3. I will not be buying it on the Epic Game Store. I will be refunding my Kickstarter pledge, and I will not be purchasing it down the line on Steam, be it sale or otherwise. And of course, many of the upcoming, or many of the previous problems, as well as the upcoming new ones with the pre-order DLC and the fact that backers are not eligible to get it despite them, basically pre-ordering the game and helping to fund the development of the game and creating its existence, that's one of the big points of contention. The Season Pass one and not getting the Season Pass, I'm not too burned about because overall I wouldn't have expected it with many of the tiers. It would have been, I think, what they could have done is good PR. They kind of need any bit of help they can get after the last month or so. But on top of all of that, even if you back one of the really elaborate tiers, $100, $150, $250, $300, $500, hell, even the people who donated 10 grand will not get the Season Pass. So, I think for them to not add it to some of the higher end tiers is a little bit of a dick move. But at the same time, I can kind of understand it. But the pre-order DLC is basically unforgivable. It takes less than a second for someone to hit a button that generates a new code that has zero cost for them to do this. They've pissed away all their goodwill at this point. I will not be supporting it, and neither will this channel. And of course, now next up we have everyone's favorite segment, the reason why you guys tune in to watch me do this, to hear me do this, to experience why I do this, because we all know that even though it might not happen every week, it's inevitably coming, because the more things change, the more they stay the same, and the world just keeps on turning. And remember, even though it doesn't happen every week, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, maybe just once a month, because remember, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and absence makes the cock grow harder. And here we go, because we are getting back into some Switch shenanigans. Now, Switch shenanigans in this case are everyone involved with it. The millions and millions of people out there who are damaging gaming. They are damage controlling gaming. They are sucking up to the Switch. They are just suckling at the teeth of whoever it is that wants to ruin gaming using this. And, well, it's created an absolute army of what I consider brain dead, mindless, idiot dregs that have zero input and zero opinion and zero any cognitive thought in any way, shape or form, and zero credibility when it comes to gaming. These are people that are willing to accept so little, get fucked over, ripped off, and accept even less every single time consistently. These people will not demand better. These people will not say no, and these people will not stand up and say, this is not worth my money. No, they will sit there. They will take a giant Nintendo cockslap with a Switch right across the face, leaving those imprints of the Joy-Cons right on the cheek, and they will just say, well, it's only $20 a year, Daddy. Give me another one. Fucking bastards. I hate them all. People like that. People like possibly even you out there. I don't know who you are, but it could be you. You people disgust me. I consider you the dregs of the internet. Absolute dregs. There are few fanboys I despise, even on par as you, and you are possibly one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Between Nintendo Switch dregs and Dank Souls fanboys, you are the two worst people in gaming, followed closely by I don't know, what else do we have in there? PlayStation fanboys are pretty bad. Xbox fanboys are on the same tier as the PlayStation ones. You see my point. You know what, the Final Fantasy 14 player base, they're pretty dregalicious as well. But it's just, you know what, the only thing I can say is that thank fuck that the Switch is 100% irrelevant when it comes to modern gaming, and it will have absolutely zero impact on the future of gaming. It will have zero bearing in any way, shape, or form on the future of gaming. It's just so great in that regard. It relieves me so much that the future of gaming will have in no way, shape, or form anything shaped via Nintendo and the Switch and the fanboy dregs of the internet, of the anything, of Reddit, of 4chan, of Reset Era. You're all cancer. All of you. Switch fanboys all over YouTube. You know who you are. You probably watch the same ones that I am calling dregs. I am calling cancer right now. This system is an absolute joke. It could have been done so right, and it could have been done even better than it is. But guess what? It's not. And thankfully, obsolete tech, obsolete hardware, obsolete design, obsolete software can have no bearing whatsoever on the future of gaming. And I am so fucking happy about that. Now, this next topic is a little bit of a weird one because I still have kind of mixed feelings on it. I don't know exactly which side of the fence on this one I fall on. I try to stand on the fence and look at both sides, but I just think about it over and over and over, and I don't know which side. If I was to just close my eyes and fall back, I don't know which side I'm going to land on. Who knows, maybe I'll decide randomly throughout my thought process on this part of the video. But anyway, Gears of War 5. Rod Ferguson, the head of the coalition, the design director, creative, whatever you want to call him, he has now come out and made some changes and some design choices and whatnot to Gears of War 5. Now, I say this is to Gears of War 5, but apparently, according to some of his comments, it kind of went and was ingrained in all previous Gears of War games. He gave some examples, but we'll get to that now in a minute. But anyway, when it comes to Gears of War 5, all references to tobacco and all references to smoking have been removed from the game. Now, off the top of my head, I can't remember any of the times in the previous games if there was smoking or anything like that, any references to tobacco or usage, whatever it was. Now, Rod Ferguson has given a couple of examples, well, actually one that I can think of, examples of this. And he said that if you look back at Gears of War 2 and you look at the concept art for Dizzy in Gears 2, his concept art had him smoking. In the finished game and the finished product, he didn't. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way before we go any further and before we look at it anyway. I don't think they have to use smoking is cool in media. I know there's a big push on it lately. I think Netflix were doing it as well after, was it Stranger Things or something else that's really popular at the moment. But you don't have to push a smoking is cool agenda in films, in gaming, in anything about that. So going forward with what I'm going to say in here, none of this has the bearing that I think smoking is cool. I don't smoke. I have no interest in it whatsoever. I tried it once or twice when I was a teenager over the course of a week, and I said, nope, this isn't for me. A couple of people in my life smoked, and they were gone. I say gone, I mean, it's just a, what am I saying? Not gone. Oh, fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? They were not influential in that regard, just because they smoked, whatever. I always hated the smell of it, so that's beside the point. Anyway, so back to the point here. Now, I'm torn on this because it is an 18s plus or mature rated game. So this game should be not available to people under the age of 17 or 18 or whatever it is, depending on your region. So if you're still that impressionable, that's, you need to see this kind of thing and say smoking is cool at that age and be legally available to purchase these games and have access to these games by yourself, well, there's a bigger problem at hand than having to worry about that. Now, like I said, I'm not saying you need to use smoking or even anything else, drugs or drink or whatever it is, as plot devices. They need to be cool in media. They can be used to give better atmosphere. They can be used to get a point across, whatever it is. Let me give you a quick example. There's that one scene in Blade Runner that everyone knows. She's just sitting there in the apartment, real tense, whatever. You see all the lights and the smoke and the fog and everything, just the light shafts coming through. You see all the smoke wafting through the air. It's a great shot. It's a really cool shot. Now, someone's going to go, oh, but Q, you said smoke, it wasn't cool. You didn't have to be. It can be used in a cool way, or it can be used for dramatic effect. It can be used for better atmosphere. It can be used to prove a point. You see what I mean? These things can be used, but they don't have to inherently be cool. I mean, that's a cool shot. It looks great, and we're still talking about Blade Runner here. It's a cool shot, and it looks great, but it in no way, shape, or form makes me think smoking is cool. Smoking looks cool. I can differentiate the two. People need to be able to do this. So, with the Gears of War 5 situation, it just completely reminds me of Australia. Now, someone's going to say, Q, what does that remind you of Australia? If you didn't know, for the longest time, up until very, very recently, I mean 2 or 3 years ago, Australia banned most adult-rated games, or a lot of adult-rated games, based on what was in their content of the game. Now, eventually, within the last couple of years, and when I say the last couple of years, I'm talking maybe the last 4 years, they received their own proper, mature adult rating. So, people who could go out and buy a game that might be in Europe and it might be uncensored or whatever, that game would usually originally be banned in Australia. But they came up with a system and all as well that would allow stuff, games and whatnot, with adult media and adult entertainment and adult everything to be sold there because it was designed for adults. But then they still went and banned a lot of the stuff. They still went and banned these games that would have been for 18-year-olds and above because of the content in them. So, it's just kind of all over the place in that regard. So, all I can say is it's madness. It's madness, the lengths that people will go to in relation to being upset about something or not used or whatever. I mean, personally, when you think about it, right? Let's look at real life. If you're watching a TV show or a film or whatever it is, you want people to be diverse. Sorry, I had to scratch my leg there. You want people to be diverse. You want people to be a bit more realistic. You want all different types of people with all different types of lives, all different types of experiences, all whatever. Because that's something that you could recognize outside the people in your life. That's something. People are different. Some people drink too much. Some people smoke. Some people do drugs. Some people fuck people of their own gender. Some people don't. You see what I mean? Some people fuck people of both genders. You see what I'm getting at here? Someone's going to get pissed off that I said both genders. You know what I mean. But you see my point here. Right? That these are real things that can really happen. And I guess in a way you could just say it doesn't define a character, but it can augment them. And I'm not saying that because it makes them cool, because someone's going to say that again. But just look at it that way. It's one of their small little traits. It's one of their individualities. It's part of their individuality. It's one of their little idiosyncrasies. It's something that can make them, and part of what could make them identifiable from someone else. Oh, they don't need the smoke to be identifiable. Obviously they don't. But you see my point. If you can't get my point, then there's no helping you. I don't know. It doesn't really bother me personally in the game. I don't think I've ever played a single game where I thought, oh, that person will be less cool or more cool if they smoked, or if something like this, smoked. So, I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about it. It's very strange. Let me just put it this way. I guarantee you, if the game had been made exactly the same way it's going to come out, with everything removed, and no one had ever said anything about the whole, oh, we removed it because smoking is bad and we don't want to push that agenda and all that, no one would say anything. I can guarantee you, at the end of the day, no one will even notice. But back to some good news next, and we have Amazon Prime Day. Now, I'm not actually usually an Amazon Prime member. However, because of the upcoming Prime Day, which has some stuff in it I want to buy at significant discount, I signed up for a €1 1-week trial. So this way, I can get the deals. Now, I looked into it, and unfortunately, that if any of my current existing orders, my previous orders that are still outstanding, I can't change them to have Prime Day or Prime bonus shipping and whatnot, but at least the stuff that I want to buy tomorrow, Prime Day lasts a couple of days with the Prime Day deals and whatnot. But the stuff I want to buy, not tomorrow actually, it's on Monday on the 15th. The stuff I want to buy is all going to be either in stock or on sale, released on the 15th. So I'm going to pick up a couple of extra things on there. Significant discount, so it's worth the €1 to me, and it's stuff some of the stuff I was going to buy anyway. One of them I kind of always wanted, but I didn't want to pay the money for it, but it's got a significant discount. But anyway, what am I talking about? Well, Hellsing Ultimate Blu-ray launches on Monday, on the 15th. Now, it's going to be a brand new release that day, so obviously it's not going to have any Prime Day deal on it. But because I'm buying it all with this stuff, I figured, hey, you know what? It'll give me the bonus shipping and all in there too, so that's pretty cool. Now, on top of that as well, something I only decided on buying the other day. I was in Dublin a few days ago at the start of this week, and I decided that I was looking through one of the comic stores and all, and I decided, I'd seen this book on a shelf, the nice comic series, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. I'd seen it, and I said, this is pretty good. I think I'll buy this. Oh, it's €23. I don't think I want to buy this. Oh, they have a hardcover version. This is €30. I don't want to buy this. I'll look on Amazon. Oh, look, it's €10 for the softback copy. No hardback copies available. So I'm going to buy Batman White Knight, which I hear is really, really damn good. In fact, a lot of people have theorized that Rocksteady's new upcoming Batman game will be Batman White Knight. We have no concrete evidence to say it's a Batman game at all. We have no concrete evidence to say it's even a comic book game. But that's getting off topic anyway. So I'm going to be picking up those two. But most notably, what I am going to be picking up is a new capture card. And I mentioned a little while back that I could be possibly persuaded to upgrade to an Elgato HD60 Pro, which is an internal PCIe card with a slightly higher bandwidth than the regular USB cards, less problems because it's internal, and of course, higher bandwidth, higher quality, etc., etc. But I'm not going to stop there. No, we have a nice little new deal going on Amazon Prime Day this year. You might know the HD 4K Pro. You know the big one? The big dog one? The big ass PCIe internal one? Yeah, that's going on sale. That's a €400 capture card. Internal, 4K, 60 FPS. Usually $400. €400, I'm sorry. It's going on sale for 35% off. It's going to be about, just off the top of my head without calculating, I believe it's €260. That's a big saving. So, I mean, technically, if I was to buy that, and the other stuff here, like Batman White Knight and Hellsing Ultimate Blu-rays, I'm still not even paying the original price for the capture card. Now, it would have been really nice because I looked at, Elgato put out their list of sales for Prime all over the world. It's a real shame that we don't get the same ones as the US. None of the European countries have the exact same deals as the US because they have 25% off those key lights. And to be honest, I do think they're a little bit expensive at about €200 a pop. But I could be persuaded to buy one of them begrudgingly if I could get it for 25% off. But I'm going to get the capture card. 4K, 60 frames per second, some Halo 5, some whatever it is on the PS4, some whatever it is if I ever play any of these consoles again. Oh, The Last of Us 2 might be a good example, but that'll be 30 FPS, so, ooh lad, that's rough. But anyway, that's going to be cool. Let me know if you're picking up anything for Prime Day. I am excited to see what the capture card of all things can do. And read Batman, and check out Hellsing Ultimate. I watched the first two of them yonks ago when they first got fan subbed and not even dubbed, and I think I saw two of them before the third one was even out. And now, all these years later, I'm finally getting a Blu-ray release of it. Feels good, man. And next up, we got some good Konami mini console news. We all know I talked about it before, that the TurboGrafx 16 / TurboGrafx Core / PC Engine Mini was a real thing, and it was eventually happening. Now, we found out originally there was a small teaser of the list of games announced for it. Now, Konami have come out and give some more details about it. It will be launching on, I have to read this off my phone here because for some reason the website isn't working on my browser, so I'll check it out on the phone here. Anyway, it's going to launch on March 19th, 2020. All of this is relating to the PC Engine Core Graphics Mini, which is the one that's going to release here in Europe, and that's all their information and the games and whatnot as well. It's going to have 50 games, 24 of which are considered English version TurboGrafx 16 titles. 26 of them are PC Engine titles, they're Japanese versions. There will be a little bit of overlap between the English releases and the Japanese releases of what will be on the core graphics, as well as the PC Engine, as well as the turbo graphics. Now, they have also given off a list of the games here. They've given all 50 of them. So, Japanese version / PC Engine games. We have the Kung Fu, Jasiken Necromancer, Fantasy Zone, Apparel Gateball, Nectaris, Dungeon Explorer, Newtopia, PC Genjin. I did believe this one is called Eves 1 and 2. You know, YS. I always kind of feel weird about pronouncing that. Super Darius, Dai Makimura, there we go. Superstar Soldier, Aldens, Newtopia 2, Gradius, Salamander, Super Momotaru Dentetsu, shouldn't be Densetsu, Dentetsu 2, Ninja Ryukenden, Japanese version of Ninja Gaiden, Star Parodier, Snatcher, which is interesting, although it seems that, we'll get to that now in a minute, Gradius 2, Cho Anarchy, and of course what everyone is wondering and everyone is hoping for, Rondo of Blood, Castlevania Dracula, or Akamujo Dracula X Rondo of Blood, Bomberman 94, Bomberman Panic Bomber, and Ginga Fuke Densetsu Sapphire. Now those are the Japanese versions of the games. Also included in the English versions of the games, the TurboGrafx versions, you have Alien Crush, Victory Run, Newtopia, again some crossover there, Blazing Lasers, Dungeon Explorer, R-Type, Power Golf, Moto Rotor, Eve's Book 1 and 2, Ninja Spirit, JJ and Jeff. That sounds really familiar. Was that a Commodore 64 game as well? Space Harrier, Chuman Fu, Military Madness, Psychosis, Bonk's Revenge, Parasol Stars. Oh yeah, I'm a fan of that. Kadash, Air Zonk, New Adventure Island, Newtopia 2, Soldier Blade, Bomberman 93, and Lords of Thunder. Now, we have some interesting stuff here, okay? So release date, 19th of March. So we do have some other ones as well. There's some details and all that. Outputs in 720p or 480p with linear 2-channel PCM audio, depending on how you go. One exclusive controller with turbo controls, USB cable and power supply, HDMI cable and instruction manual. Now, it seems that this is going to be an Amazon exclusive purchase. However, it gets really weird. Let me find this here. It's all over the place. The console will be available exclusively on Amazon from March 19th, 2020 with an Amazon Prime exclusive pre-order period starting from July 15th. So, even though the page is currently available on the Japanese version of Amazon, it's going live here in Europe on Amazon UK on the 15th. So it's going live on Monday. Hopefully I can get in with a pre-order, and hopefully my pre-order remains even after I cancel Prime. But that's basically it. It's kind of weird in that regard. PC Engine Mini, TurboGrafx 16 Mini, and PC Engine Core Graphics Mini are only available on Amazon. So it seems like they will be Amazon exclusive no matter where you go, because they did specifically mention all the different regions. So I think that one's weird in that regard. I don't care. I'm still looking forward to this. I've never played a TurboGrafx 16 or a PC Engine. I don't think I've ever even seen one in real life firsthand. So I'm really looking forward to it, because I've always theorized, along with many other people, that the TurboGrafx 16 could possibly have what Analog, the company that make the Super NT and the Mega SG, is what they'd be doing next. Now, that would be fantastic in many regards. However, that would only really work if you've got a good PC Engine library or a good TurboGrafx 16 library, which I do not. So to have a big swath, a big selection of games available from all different genres, from both different regions, across every type of what do we call them, publisher, manufacturer, developer, whatever it is, different genres as well, which I've said before. That's going to be interesting to me, for one plug and play thing, to get a good sampling of everything available on the console. I realize it's not everything, but to get a good sampling of it. That's important, and I'm looking forward to that. Price-wise, I don't know how this is going to go. It would not surprise me if Konami tried to charge 90 to 100 euro for this. I do think they should charge a little bit less. I think they would get away with 60, maybe even 75 or 80 on it. Again, it's hard for me to say, not having any experience with the TurboGrafx, as well as without quickly going through everything to see who has the licenses for all of these games. I don't know if they're all in-house Konami licenses, Hudson licenses, which are now owned by Konami, or whatever the deal is. I just don't know. I believe some of them, I think, wasn't Gradius on there? Isn't that Namco? I guess they'd have to pay for it. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But one other thing I do want to mention on here is in the Japanese version, the Japanese list of games, this Japanese list of games applies to all of these versions, is Snatcher. This will be many people's first experience with Snatcher. However, if it's the Japanese version, this is a text-heavy game. It would be like playing almost an RPG with a different language that you don't speak. So, I don't know, that can be a little bit iffy. I mean, hell, I know I have a mega CD version of it, the European version of Snatcher, so I could play that in that regard. But, well, at least once I get a mega, what do they call it? Mega CD. But yeah, a lot of people might be super excited to play Snatcher and then realize that they can't because it's not in English. So we'll see. Anyway, it's going to be next year, March 19th, I believe it was. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably put out a tweet or something on Monday to see how the pre-order thing went. And of course, last up, we have our usual little ending segment. Q, what are you doing? What are you playing? What's piquing your interest? What's tickling your fancy? I don't know, I'm running out of descriptions here, but what are you doing? What are you enjoying? What are you playing? What are you watching? Well, I finished Secret of Mana eventually. I have this really bad habit where I'll go to finish the game in the last place, and then as I'm on my way there, I'll be near the end, I'll get a piece of armor, last upgrade I need, or I'll get a weapon orb, and I'm like, oh, I need that, and I have to go back and save it, and rinse and repeat. So I'm going to be moving on to Trials of Mana very, very shortly, probably today or tomorrow. No, it would be tomorrow minimum because I've got something. Actually, it wouldn't. It would be tomorrow minimum because I've got something important to do tonight, and well, something important to do tomorrow. But I might have some time at the end of it. Of course, Yakuza Kiwami is coming very soon as well because, well, between Trials of Mana, I pretty much just kind of want to get back into the big stuff, and Yakuza Kiwami is in there as well. But I don't know how that feels just yet because it is the 13th of the 7th, and in about 2 weeks or so from now, Fire Emblem Three Houses is coming to Nintendo Switch. I do, from what I know and what everyone has told me, Yakuza Kiwami is a fairly short game, probably about 20 hours or so, if not less. That's even if you do a lot of the side content too. I might manage it in the meantime. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to feel pressured for it or anything. I want to sit there and enjoy it. But we'll see how it goes. I also have this bad boy, which I briefly showed earlier. And in this, I have Pokemon Black. So I am going to be starting Pokemon Black possibly tonight. I don't know. I've got many things going on, but it will be started within the next few days, and it will be a serious playthrough that I'm going to do. Same with Trials of Mana and, of course, Yakuza Kiwami, but I don't want to kind of sell myself short or spread myself thin on that regard. Borderlands 2 is pretty much done. We've stopped playing it. We haven't played it in ages at this point. But all is not lost. All is not done for. Our little Borderlands 2 Borderlands 2 co-op crew is going to be moving on to Overcooked 2. I picked up Overcooked 2. I got all the DLC. I convinced one of them to buy Overcooked 2. The other one is going to be buying Overcooked 2. Hopefully, yeah, you're gonna buy it. You're gonna buy it. You know you are. You're seeing this video. You're gonna buy it. And as far as I know, it seems that as long as I have the DLC, if I'm hosting the game, everyone else can use the DLC content. Or DLC content because it's downloadable content. They can use the DLC available to them while I'm hosting it. So that works well. I bought all that anyway, so that's gonna be cool. I played a little bit of Overcooked 1. I saw how much fun and how much better it looked with multiplayer in Overcooked 1, I think it was at the time. So I figured, hey, Overcooked 2 is online multiplayer. That's a perfect opportunity for our crew to move on over. So that's going to be pretty beast anyway. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers as well has been something I'm playing. I finished the main story, and now it's just kind of grind for tomes until I can get all my my Laladin gear for that, and then just stop playing for a few weeks until they release all the new stuff. They're going to be doing the basic 8-man, I think it's non-savage version raid, and then of course 6 months from now or whatever it is, after the game is long dead and extremely boring by then, they'll release the I was going to say 4.1. They'll release patch 5.1, which has the 24-man raid. I'm kind of interested to see how that one will go. Not because I have any involvement with the topic of it. It will be a Yoko Taro designed Nier Automata raid, but I don't care about that. I just want to see everyone lose their mind over, like, oh my god, this is so Nier. Oh my god, this is so not Nier at all. This is so Yoko Taro. This is so not Yoko Taro. And of course, then everyone will be dressed as 2B. So, as a Lalafell, that works for me. But I'm very disappointed with it. The story overall has been extremely boring. The music has been completely forgettable, except for one song in the final Right place, which is a pretty good song. I actually really like that one. And just a lot of it, the combat changes, everything is just so boring. But other than that, there's not pretty much it. There's I've already mentioned Amazon Prime Day, which is something I'm going to be checking out on Monday. I've got Entei Day tomorrow on Sunday for Pokemon Go. I'm going to be spoofing over to America for that one because I'll be working on all there too. I don't know how my next week and a half are going to be on the channel, from videos, the podcast, the streams or whatnot. Mainly because I'm starting up college again next week, this coming week. So between that and working and doing all my other stuff, it's going to take me maybe 1 or 2 weeks to get into a proper balance, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. But last up on top of that is tonight. Now, I won't get to see it tonight because I have to avoid spoilers and all that stuff. But tonight is All Elite Wrestling, AEW's Fight for the Fallen. It's their next upcoming pay-per-view. It's going to air tonight on Saturday night, but I will get to watch it on Sunday because I don't really have the option. Well, I mean, I do technically have the option to stay up and pay for it and watch it, but it will cripple me in that regard. So I'd rather just watch it tomorrow night instead. I'm just have to avoid spoilers and stuff like that. I have the Banhammer ready on Discord. There's a special wrestling channel that everyone can talk in about Fight for the Fallen. So if I see any spoilers in there, people are going to get that ass. Wait, you know what? Get that ass cued. Let me try that one more time. Get that ass cued. Baby. There we go. Anyway, that's it. That is the end of episode 15 of our little Quack experimental podcast. As always, I want to thank everyone for sticking with me on this one, checking out whatever it is I needed to talk about, or whatever it is I needed to give a shit about this week, whatever I needed to rant about, whatever I needed to rave about, or whatever it is I just needed to get off my chest. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, be it whatever it is. Let me know how I did on the video, how I did on the podcast, whatever it is, in the comment section below, as well as by hitting any appropriate button to let me know how you felt, be it the upvote, the downvote, the dislike, whatever it is, as well as why not head on over, hit the subscribe button, and even ring the little notification bell. Of course, granted, getting a notification from YouTube in current year about a new video upload or a live stream or whatever, hell, especially when you want to get this hot new Quack experimental podcast episode every weekend, well, YouTube might have other plans for you. Anyway, as always, thank everyone so much for watching. And remember, winners don't play switchboards.